So just to give you a bit of a background, we at Kartavya, we are celebrating our first anniversary. And Sadhana, it's the weekly magazine publication that we have, which will be celebrating its 73 years.
Okay.
So on such an occasion, we wanted to go ahead and interview 3 editors. So as I have mentioned in the mail, we have already interviewed Mr. Ram, Mr. Fernandez from Scroll, and you to understand your perspective of journalism and what are your experiences and insights so that our readers can also know a bit better about this field.
I think somebody asked me once, and I've used this line often after that. Somebody said, कि यार तुम लोग ना तो on the one hand बताते हो और ना on the other hand बताते हो, तुम सीधा कोई चीज के ऊपर position ले लेते हो. So my response to him was, अरे भाई, on the one hand is the Times of India, on the other hand is the Hindustan Times. So we have to find something else to say. So I think, look, important thing is to look at the facts, and you have to look at the facts clinically. If you looked at the nuclear deal, and if you accepted the fact that Cold War had ended, that the Cold War had ended 15 years back, and maybe the wrong side won, because the Indian intellectual discourse was mostly left of center and mostly anti-American and pro-Soviet. So maybe the wrong side won, but the Soviets lost. Soviet Union is not there. It's a unipolar world. So India also has to change accordingly. The second thing was that, and there were leaders in India who recognized it. So Manmohan Singh and Narasimha Rao in 91 knew, they had intellect, that you cannot open up India's economy to the market and yet continue to be anti-Western forever, chronically. So we saw the nuclear deal as a big strategic shift for India. We never saw the nuclear deal as being about energy. And we never saw the nuclear deal as being about weapons. We saw nuclear deal about being a strategic mindset shift. It was the first treaty of any kind that India was going to sign with America in so many decades. It was, and this treaty was a strategic treaty. So this was a big shift. And everybody in any authority knew this was a good idea. So, the BJP, which called it such a bad idea, Sushma Swaraj said in Parliament that this is like Emperor Jahangir allowing East India Company to come and trade in India. But the same BJP then embraced the deal and took it forward. And Sushma Swaraj, as foreign minister, embraced the deal and took it forward. So we knew that these were the facts. Now, a lot of the criticism was coming from old style herd mentality, which is, it's fashionable to be anti-American, right? And it's safe to be anti-American, right? If something is being done with America, and the funny things happen. When that happens, then you see people who are otherwise nuclear pacifists, who say nuclear weapons are an obscenity. They are saying, oh, but what will happen? This will compromise India's nuclear weapons, right? It's like now you find many people saying, oh, you're buying these Rafales from France at this price. Why are you buying only few? You should have bought 126. These are all pacifists who otherwise say, don't spend a paisa on defense, spend on education, spend on this, spend on that, give Kashmir to Pakistan, let the Chinese take what they have, right? Don't stop fighting, let Manipur become independent, let Nagaland become independent, let India be balkanized. The same people are now saying, no, we needed 126 Rafales because without that, India's security is imperiled. So I have to say this, and this is a line I've used often in my newsrooms, and I used to use in the Express, I use it also now, that as journalists, we must never switch off our bullshit detector. So when I find somebody who's a lifelong nuclear pacifist, or lifelong nuclear and non-proliferator, coming up to say this will compromise India's nuclear weapons, I'll say, bah, right? I know where they are coming from. And the same thing applied to the Anna movement. Because if you saw the Anna movement was very elitist. It talked of the poor, but very few participants were poor. They were urban, they were elite. And look at the kind of Shivji ki Barat they gathered around them. There was all kinds of people, from Prashant Bhushan on the left to Baba Ramdev on the right. There was nothing in common with them, between them, except the idea that they should bring down the UPA government. In politics, that's okay. It's perfectly legitimate for an opposition to bring down the government of the day. But these people were not the opposition. And their pretense was not that of the opposition. Their pretense was of being non-political and of being anti-corruption activists who had no interest in politics or power. So we said that is wrong. No, we didn't say doing this is wrong. We said that claim is wrong. Mm-hmm. That claim is wrong. And to then say that everything is corrupt. So in fact, I wrote 2 articles at that point that you can check in my national interest column. One was called Arvind Chitrakatha. So that was based on this small book called Swarajya that Arvind Kejriwal had written, giving his concept of Swarajya. And I said this, and he had made drawn parallels with Vaishali of 3rd century BC. So that's why I said this is Arvind Chitrakatha, that, you can't run a modern democracy like Vaishali in 3rd century BC. And Vaishali, in any case, spent all its time arguing with itself while Magad came and rolled it over and massacred everybody. So, and the other article was on the Jan Lokpal bill. That, everybody was saying Jan Lokpal bill, but funnily, nobody had bothered to read it. And I read the Jan Lokpal bill, and I called many people on TV also, TV anchors who were promoting it. तुमने पढ़ा है कि Indian Constitution में हो ही नहीं सकता. It is not possible. Because to say that our Lokpal members will be 3 Nobel Prize winners and 4 Magsaysay Award winners, what kind of constitution allows that? And then to say every neighbor can spy on his neighbor and make CDs of that and send to Jan Lokpal, then Jan Lokpal will prosecute, it will also try. So the appeal, vakil, dalil, sab ek hai. And if it catches somebody, then 10% of whatever money it's supposed to have saved on corruption will go to Jan Lokpal. That means there is a vested interest in convicting everybody, right? So this is like North Korea. Every neighbor will be spying on every neighbor. So in fact, I said in that article that do 2 things. One, buy shares of a company called Moser Bayer, because Moser Bayer, now it's defunct. Moser Bayer makes CDs. Okay. Because everybody will be making CDs on everybody, right? So there'll be a boom in CD business. Second, buy shares of DLF, I think Hiranandani, Unitech, all these builders, because if Jan Lokpal bill comes in, they'll all be building jails all over India. Because jail building in India will become such a big business. Right. And in one of the negotiations, that's what Pranab Mukherjee said to these people, that look, under this constitution, I cannot do it. So where one of the negotiators on behalf of Anna team said, but we have come to change the constitution. So Pranab Mukherjee said, I don't have the mandate to change the constitution. When you have the mandate, you come and do it. So, and where is Jan Lokpal bill now? Does anybody even make a demand for it? Where is Anna Hazare now? He was hailed as Gandhi. So we said that Gandhi, poor Gandhi, was always in an argument with himself on whether he was a Mahatma or not, right? Here is Anna Hazare, who has no doubt that he is Mahatma Gandhi. He was a clown, and he had clown written all over him. But if people were willing to be fooled, good luck to them. The same people now look stupid. But the fact is that for taking this position, there was a lot of opprobrium, because people immediately say, oh, you must be pro-corrupt.
Right.
But then you have to raise questions. You have to say, okay, there was a scandal in 2G allocations of 2007, for sure there was a scandal. But could the money loss be 1,76,000 crores? 1,76,000 crores in 2007 was $2 billion more than all of India's defense budget. Army, Navy, Air Force, salaries, pensions, fighter planes, tanks, submarines, everything put together. Could the value of this much spectrum be more than India's defense budget? You should just apply the test of reasonableness. Uh, so, both positions came from fact and conviction. Uh, I used to head all the language editions of India Today, in addition to my work at India Today English. So India Today then had editions in several languages. That is Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, and I then launched Gujarati. So when I got that position, I had inherited the other 4 editions; they were already there, and I launched Gujarati around Navratri time in 1992. In fact, that's when Sheila Bhatt, who we had appointed editor of Gujarati edition, she took me to meet Narendra Modi for the first time. He did not have any official position then. He was not even an MLA. Because I was going to Gujarat, getting to know people and to understand things. So when Babri Masjid was destroyed, India Today's cover headline was "A Nation's Shame." So there was an equivalent headline for Gujarati, which is, I don't remember the exact Gujarati, Deshnu Kalank, I think, something like this. And our marketing head then, who was Deepak Shori, Arun Shori's brother, incidentally, he said that, look, if you do this, people of Gujarat will not forgive you. You will suffer badly. So I must say the credit for this belongs to Arun Puri, because this was said in front of him, and Arun Puri also said, it doesn't matter, right? Let's go with it. But we were surprised by the kind of sharp reaction that we saw. Because this is 1992, there is still no email. If there was email and there was social media, God knows what would have happened. But then, over the next couple of days, I began getting letters, a lot of them postcards, because they were the cheapest. Postcards, a lot of them inland letters. I'm not even sure that people of your generation have seen inland letters, right? And envelopes, and all saying you are Pakistan today, you are Islam today, you are Musliman today, shame on you, kalank on you. And readers just voted with their feet. And I think the edition was pretty much dead. I think it survived some more time, at least till I was in the India Today group till 95, but not much longer. Well, because, this is a question that I was asked once, in fact, by Arvind Kejriwal, when Indian Express was the only paper that was seeing problems with the Anna movement and the India Against Corruption movement, because we saw it purely as a political movement. And we said that this has no interest in Jan Lokpal bill. And this Jan Lokpal bill is unpassable. This is a North Korea bill. It cannot be passed in India. So he did ask me, and he said, have you asked your marketing department, how is the line that your paper has taken on our movement working in the market? And I said that, look, we cover news. We are not producing a Bollywood film that we have to have a hit. And we are not producing a TV serial that has to have top TRPs. The news is the news. We can go wrong with our understanding, but to the best of our knowledge and intentions, once we believe something to be the news, it will be the news. Then it doesn't matter whether it sells or doesn't sell. But the fact is that while the Gujarati edition may have suffered, the Hindi edition with the same headline increased circulation greatly. So I've used this example frequently to try and to feed into the analysis of why Gujarat is sui generis in the way that there is an insecurity about Muslims, and that is why Gujarat is so fertile, such a fertile land for Hindutva. They didn't bother. I have to say that Arun Puri didn't bother. I think he took it in his stride. I mean, nobody likes something, a product going down, but I think it was okay. I think if you look at those issues of India today took a very good position on that issue at that point. And we were very proud of it.
And so after the edition was shut down, were you like, what role were you again going back?
Edition wasn't shut down while I was there, but this was only an additional charge for me. My main work was with India Today English. My writing, my editing, I was running a lot of sections there. It was mostly there. But as an additional charge, I was also running the language editions. In fact, I had 2 titles in India Today. I'm used to having 2 titles. So I was senior editor in India Today English and executive editor and publisher with all the language editions. So it was some time after I left that this edition was shut down. And then, as we know, I think in 2014 or 15, the remaining editions also were shut down, besides the Hindi edition, which is still there, which I regret greatly that these editions had to be shut down. But the realities of the market, plus people who are running a business know best what is best for them. I mean, I think the line used there was, in fact, there was a section in the paper. This was Adelphi is a series of papers published by International Institute for Studies in London. So I was a research associate there between 93 and 94 on sabbatical. So there's a section there that talks about how a majority acquires a minority complex. And that went to the question of how do Hindus, who are more than 80% of India, acquire a minority complex. So there were many pointers at that time, but the fact is that there was a minority complex. In fact, when Mr. Vajpayee came to power the first time, and when he lost power in 13 days, in his reply to the Lok Sabha debate on his vote of confidence, he quoted from this paper and he said, "आपको सोचना चाहिए कि majority को minority complex क्यों हो गया है?" And he said it not by way of an endorsement, but by way of anguish. And as you can see, as you saw also with this Ram Mandir thing, the majority does have a minority complex. And this is not, ours is not the only country where this has happened. This has happened in other countries also. Because people see, so it's a complicated set of factors. If you look at it on the simplistic side, the explanation is simplistic, not mine, simplistic. That look, the majority Hindus were ruled by minority Muslims for more than 700 years. So what do you expect? That India was always a majority Hindu country, but India's rulers were not only Muslims, many of them had come from overseas, and they ran an Islamic system. There was jizya on the Hindus for all those hundreds of years, barring 100 years, starting with Akbar and ending with Shah Jahan. So there are those issues, but also it's a question of how do various parties play their politics. So the BJP worked on this minority complex among the majority. Congress party, I would say that from 1986 onwards, played into it. Indira Gandhi would never have allowed it, but Rajiv Gandhi made mistakes, Shah Bano case, then the proactive ban on Salman Rushdie's book, and that played into it.